Welcome back, citizens, and thank you for watching. We'd like to thank all of our patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for your support. If you enjoy our content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button to help the channel grow. In today's episode, we'll be visiting the Oretani System and learning about its planets, history, and lore. And that episode starts right now. The Oretani System is a large system with a single yellow dwarf star, 6 planets, and a large asteroid belt within its 37 AU boundaries. Oretani has no known jump points, although a jump point did exist between the Oretani System and the Farron System. Today, the Oretani System is remembered more as a legend than a reality. Discovered during the halcyon days of our expansion into the stars, the system shocked humanity after the only jump point connecting it to the known universe collapsed and never reformed. This tragic incident marooned thousands of settlers. To this day, despite many hypotheses, the truth of their fate has yet to be learned. Though currently impossible to visit, Fist and I deem it worthy of coverage, both as a way to honor those tragically lost and to help distinguish the fact from the wild fiction surrounding the system. Oretani's discovery sparked excitement. It contained 6 planets, 2 of which had been cleared for potential habitation, and a mineral-rich asteroid belt. Thanks to the United Nations of Earth's Expansion Initiative and numerous technological advances, an oversaturation of terraforming corporations flocked for government contracts. The UNE awarded Terraforming the opportunity to make Oretani 2 habitable. The company believed that terraforming should not be the precursor to planetary habitation, but its initial stage. Besides paying a premium for experienced terraformers, they offered workers and their families free housing on space stations within the system on the condition that they moved to the planet once it was habitable. Taria argued that the initiative would increase worker morale and the quality of their work, since they were literally creating their future home. In an effort to undercut the growing negative press, the company invited a handful of journalists to tour the system and Taria's operations. On April 11, 2485, 2 days after they entered the system, the jump point connecting Oretani to Farron suddenly collapsed, cutting off all connection to the rest of civilization. The loss of Oretani struck a heavy blow to humanity's psyche. The idea of easy, convenient expansion across the stars was damaged. When the news first broke of Oretani's loss, many didn't know that such a thing was possible. Jump points were known to be unstable, but not disappear completely. The UNE dispatched a massive fleet of scanning and scientific ships into Farron, hoping to reopen the lost jump point or discover a new one. Humanity's best and brightest minds offered their help, and companies throughout the universe donated credits and supplies to the cause. The most brilliant minds in the UNE grappled with the cosmic question, can you reopen a collapsed jump point? Yet all of their efforts were in vain, as the frantic search settled into a systematic exploration of options. Days turned into weeks, then months, and though the story still sat on everyone's mind, the realization that the system might be gone for good slowly sank in. Eventually, the UNE reluctantly reduced the resources dedicated to the rediscovery of Oretani and installed an extensive array of sensor beacons near the former jump point. A fleet of military pathfinders was also deployed to the system and assigned to patrol the region on a regular basis. The fear that this would happen again kept settlers from venturing further into the stars, and systems began to stockpile supplies to make sure that they could self-sustain should the unthinkable happen. The population was shaken by this development too. Systems with multiple jump points saw a noticeable increase in population, and there was an increased immigration back to Earth, the exact opposite of what the UNE hoped to accomplish. To this day, the UNE government maintains an array of sensors and has pathfinders patrolling that section of Farron in hopes that the jump point will reopen. Centuries later, there is still no good news to report. In fact, all accounts of people escaping the system or even transmitting messages from it have been confirmed as hoaxes. The most famous of these, the so-called Oretani Beacon, claimed to have been found by Erling Bradford in 2506. The recording of a shaky voice proclaiming that she was an Oretani survivor was later proven to be made by Erling and his niece. Regardless, there are some who still believe that the plea is genuine evidence that contact with the system is possible. Despite the desire to know what happened to the inhabitants of Oretani, the best any of us can do is guess. Many hope that if the original jump point doesn't reappear, then another will be found back into the system, so that we may finally discover the fate of those cut off so long ago. Scans placed Oretani 1 around 0.27 AU away from the system center and listed as a dwarf planet. Even if Oretani 1 possesses valuable resources, extracting them would be difficult considering its proximity to the star. Oretani 2 is a large ocean world that sits comfortably in the system's habitable zone. Though lacking major land masses, it was a strong terraforming candidate, and the vast water resources were considered essential to supporting life in the system. Once terraformed, Terraforming planned to build massive platforms around water harvesters that could support the adjacent community and still ship half of its output to other locations. Terraforming workers would transition to permanent jobs dealing with water harvesters, while their families would be allowed to start their own businesses or provide other essential services for the platform. If anyone still inhabits Oretani, most assume this planet plays a major role in their survival. Though in orbit beyond the frost line, Terraforming believed that this ice planet could still potentially serve as a habitable planet. The company did extensive surveys, and though they didn't publicly share their findings, they strongly suggested that terraforming Oretani 3 would be a worthwhile endeavor. At the time, experts speculated that the company might have found vast swaths of resources under the ice, and potentially had plans to build settlements deep within the planet's surface once the resources were removed. Meanwhile, skeptics suggested that it might be nothing more than a ploy to drive up interest from investors about the company's future potential. Oretani Belt Alpha has numerous asteroids rich in nitrogen, and the belt quickly became home to numerous agricultural stations built to help feed the massive influx of settlers. Until the planets are ready to be farmed, the belt could help provide a cheaper food source than interstellar shipments. When the jump point collapsed, many were hopeful that these farms could help the stranded survive. Oretani 4 is a gas dwarf with a thick, expansive atmosphere. A single harvesting station had been built in orbit before the collapse. In computer-simulated survival scenarios, the gases collected here could have been used in numerous ways for the industrial manufacturing the settlers would need to make habitable surface outposts. Hydrogen and helium swirl together to form Oretani 5, a gas giant sitting well beyond the system's frost line. Oretani 6 is a distant dwarf planet caught in a 103,390 standard day orbit around the edge of the system. Well, that's the Oretani system. Maybe one day we will find a path here to reconnect with those who were cut off so many years ago. Thank you for watching. More systems will be coming soon. See you in the verse, and happy mining!